We also have Mohommed Ali Shah, defense analyst, joining us at this point. Mohommed Ali Shah, more, of course, reactions beginning to trickle in now as of course, now the main target, the main aim is catching the perpetrators, neutralizing the perpetrators, bringing to book those who were responsible, and just finding out exactly how there was an intelligence failure.
Well, Uday, when we talk about intelligence failure, firstly, it's not really intelligence failure also, because an ambush in Manipur it can happen anytime, anywhere. It is not. I also heard some panelists on television talking about this family. Now in the army, there are certain stations which are field stations, which permit families, and certain stations which also do not permit families. For example, in Jammu Kashmir, if we talk about Kandahar, for example, Kandahar does not permit families in J&K. Srinagar permits families. Similarly, in Manipur, if you talk about Imphal, Manipur permits families. There's no issue about that. Secondly, an ambush can happen anywhere, anytime when you do not realize. And it's not necessary you need to have every single input of every ambush that is being laid. I have stressed upon it many times, and our commanding officer, Brigadier Gautam Ganguly, when I was with the Assam Rifles, he stressed about gathering information. He made me learn Nagamese. When I was in Nagaland, and I was at Nagaland-Manipur border, he made me learn Nagamese. He made sure that I become fluent in Nagamese to actually gel over there with the locals, and so that they believe we are not there to intimidate them, but to protect them. Now that was a design followed in Nagaland. Now in Manipur, which is a neighboring state, a similar design in Manipur should be followed over there actually, because as the Chief Minister over there has said, Mr. N. Biren Singh has said, we will take a befitting reply of this. And when Mr. Rahul Gandhi comes out and says that Manipur government is incapable of taking care of it, it is not about any government. Let me tell you, Assam Rifles does not come under any state government. It is not state police. It comes under the Home Ministry directly. The army in the Northeast comes under Defense Ministry. So when someone tries to make it political and says that so-and-so government, state's government is incapable, I think it's being just unfair, being totally unfair. Now, when you cross over from, one side of Manipur, More border, it is densely forested. As Mr. Vijay Sharma rightly brought out, it is very, very thickly forested. And there, when an ambush is laid, because these people specialize in guerrilla warfare. Now that comes on one border. On the other border, the Indian side, it is basically Manipur and Nagaland. And from Nagaland, if you cross over the Mao Gate and you enter Jwalamukhi, thereafter you go through Senapati, Mantri Pokhri, Imphal, Thaubel, and then Kakchan. There's a place called Sorabasti, which used to be highly infested in our time. But now I think things are improving slowly and gradually. And thereafter you go on to Palel, then to Technopal, and then to More. But places like Ratanpur, especially areas like Samtal, Jopi, these are areas where patrolling has to be intensified even more, because there the militancy is of a different nature than what we have fought in Jammu Kashmir. Now, I spent 2 years in Jammu Kashmir fighting insurgency there and 3 years in Northeast. And what my experience told me was, in Northeast, it's very rare that the insurgents over there would attack the women and children. They would not touch upon the school buses. They would not touch upon ambulance. But now when a family of the commanding officer is martyred, it is of grave concern to me, because a similar incident had taken place in 1998, incidentally, when my father was commanding a brigade in Manipur, Kakchan, the 50th Mountain Brigade. And that time the insurgents had attacked a convoy, which was going, a family convoy basically. Now, this is of utmost concern. Now, I certainly call for a ceasefire. Actually, a revenge should be taken firstly, because that area is strongly dominated by PLA. That's the People's Liberation Army, who has an ally in the left, that's the United Nations Liberation Front. Then there's another faction over there called KYKL, Kangla Yavon Kangla Group. Then there's another small faction over there called PULF, United Liberation Front. And then there's NSCN-IM and NSCN-K, which is operating from Nagaland, and NSCN-IM and NSCN-K do not get along. Now, let me tell you who's funding them all. Ultimately, it all comes down to China. When we had actually captured weapons, we had actually interrogated suspects and militants. The whole thing, funding, actually came down to China, and in fact, in the entire Northeast region. You know, Uday, I was ADC to GOC 3 Corps. And 3 Corps, I have the map here before me. The 3 Corps covers 4 states in Northeast. Whole of Manipur, whole of Nagaland, whole of Tripura, whole of Mizoram, and South Assam.
Yeah.
Now, that was the area of responsibility given to an ADC. I was merely a captain at that time. And I was a commendation card serving in that area, not because of anything great that I did, but the men behind me, the Assam Rifles did all the work. I just happened to merely get the...
And that's the regiment which has been attacked in this manner. The Assam Rifles, of course, has issued now a formal statement regarding this ambush. We're going to have to leave it at that. Major Mohammed Ali Shah, thank you for joining us.